Listen.
I'm Dante. Enchanté.
So this series has been all about the F word, franchises, because now they're franchising the franchise by making the finale 3 parts. And look, I've been a fan of this series. I've made a bunch of LMEs, but somewhere along the way, they took a wrong turn because I just did not care for the last couple of movies. But this one?
Showtime.
They finally brought the fun back. Are the set pieces still so stupid they're damn near superheroes? Yes, everyone went from being a master fighter to becoming a comedian. The stunts are still so dumb it'll leave you staring more confused than a CGI Paul Walker, but I finally wasn't bored. They've now embraced the memes and are leaning into that $350 million budget. Now that they've reached 10, they've pretty much made this like their greatest hits, but I'm just happy that they're fully committed to just being the faith-based Avengers, because they have the record for the biggest Christian movie since The Passion.
All right, dorks, what are we blowing up? What? The Vatican? Wow, you guys are going to hell.
And it's all thanks to this man who's playing the devil. They actually had Jason Momoa roaming around Rome. Dude was eating up every scene he was in. No lie, I swear this man was watching the movie with us.
That was awesome!
Back for the release of 8, I had called these cinematic fast food. I'm surprised to say I had a good time going through the drive-thru on this one. Personally, I think it's worth reserving 2 passenger seats in Dolby, because I had such a blast, they almost got me to buy a popcorn car over gas for my car.
Amazing! Bob?
Let me explain. So the movie begins with a flashback to Fast 5, which was 10 years ago, and they play so much of that movie I thought Universal was going to claim them. Pretty much they run it back in order to insert Dante into those scenes like that guy on Twitter does with Paddington, and they padded this out. It turns out that he's the son of Reyes, whose vault they stole across Brazil, and he was there the whole time, just in the Screen X version. Now they put him front and center, and we see that he crashed into the water after that chase, but did live long enough to see this sequel.
Collateral damage, chaos, death. I'm your legacy.
We then drift over to LA, where Dom is training his kid to do more donuts than a cop, and somehow this kid is way older than he was in the last one. Like, I don't know if I missed a blip or something, but yeah. They have their family barbecue, where they hint at more spin-offs by talking about passing it down, while Roman Puff passes it around set.
I can't make this shit up. My brother has his own personal hookah bar in between scenes. Who in the fuck?
At one point, Dom is even staring at a picture of his dad, who he just met in F9, and they play the F7 song, which I always thought was meant to be for Paul, but they're not treating that song like it's the new I'll Be Missing You. Dom and Lenny then go upstairs and almost make love to Kodak Black, as they hint at them having a baby. Like, Lil B's already calling her mom, Grandma Rita already mentioned leaving a legacy for generations. So personally, I can't wait to see Letty have an extra pair of arms for some low blows.
You gotta be kidding me.
We then follow up with Dante in the present, who pulls up on Cypher and siphons her crew, beating the last bad guy in order to become the new one. He FaceTimes their kidnapped family, he kills a dude who didn't even have a kitty cat, because his whole mantra is to never accept death as payment because suffering is owed. Like, he doesn't want to destroy, he wants to punish, and he's relishing in it. Cypher then has to go atomic blonde on her own people, until eventually escaping and heading over to Dom's house for help, which is pretty hard considering it's blurred out on Google Maps. He accepts her in now that she got rid of that Edgar cut, and also her Peso Pluma cut, and she warns him that the enemy of my enemy is our co-star. Clint Jr. then comes in, who works for the agency, and confirms that she isn't lying and takes her back to a black site until the 3rd act of the movie. But he also tells Dom that Rome's Rome mission, where everyone's at the moment, is a setup because they know nothing about it. We then globetrot over to Italy, where the team thinks they're stealing a quantum computer chip, but this ain't Dead Reckoning. Instead, they realize they need to stop this Oppenheimer prop.
We're locked inside! It's a trap!
Because it was a mobile heist with a little Tej RC, Dante's able to hack into their vehicles with them in it and moves them around like he's playing Forza. The team then has to play pinball with it as they're trying to sandwich it in order to stop it, all while Dante's carting around throwing red shells. Personally, I was surprised to see how many practicals they were working with in this one. You know, some of the stunts that they did even had me like, bravo. But I was dying laughing. When Dom took his Charger down these rocky steps, they really had this man dribbling it down like he was Messi. He ended up pulling an Indiana Jones just to avoid this bomb by tossing it in the river. Boom. Are any of these physics possible? I guess if you have faith, because that one tire's threading holding him down, that's God. One set of good years, he was carrying him. The news blames the entire cast of Fast X and calls them terrorists, so everyone separates for 2 hours. And just know that this bomb scene is the tamest thing in the movie.
I can't believe they went for it. Can you believe it? Like, we should have the premiere in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
We then meet two new characters who are working for the government. Tess, who's the agency's Nepo baby, while Mr. Nobody's nowhere to be seen. And she was actually inspired to be in this movie by Vin Diesel's daughter's jacket
that said good vibes only on it.
The other one is Ames, who's so big, he's breaking the fourth wall, fifth wall, sixth wall. And look, I give it a pass. If people let Scream 6 just recycle and get away with the stuff that one did, then this is a baptism for this series. He pretty much lays out the plan for Tess and catches her up by playing her the LME.
Let's start back at the beginning, shall we?
Listen. She then snatches the God's Eye from him, which is the thing that helps you surveil the entire planet. I guess except the pocket you keep it in.
I was told I was a crackhead John Cena one time.
Dom meets with Queenie, who warns him that they're gonna make him weak by isolating him from his family. And that's where this scene is so short, her featurette for the movie is longer. He then goes to Naples, she goes to cash her check, as Tess tracks down Dom with the God's Eye and is entrusted with the biggest movie prop of the series.
I'm sorry, I did not know that you were gonna do that. Oh my god, as a fan.
Girl, did you not read the script? Dom goes back to Brazil where he meets up with Diogo, who at one point was against him until they became
family.
Dante then comes in and pins the people against him, but doesn't realize that half of the streets can't be bought out. And I'm not even kidding, the people collectively shouted out, vroom. We then do get a solid street race with a decent remix of Gasolina. They had that iconic shot that not only looks dope on screen, but the behind the scenes actually makes it look really, really cool. But little does Dom know that it's all a setup.
That's the problem with having such a big family. How do you choose the ones you save?
It's at this point where you realize they're really just Joker and Batman.
And that's the point. You'll have to choose.
Not only are they the opposites of each other, but Dom smacks him around just like in that interrogation scene.
Or his blushing bride to be.
He had him rushing for bombs in the past, and now he's furious. Dante's wearing purple while Dominic's a Dark Knight.
Ooh, black on black look good.
And like, even their backstories are the same.
You remind me of my father. I hated my father.
My father was a horrible man.
My father was a drinker and a fiend.
Very bad daddy.
Diogo then dies on Dom's watch, and not as his nemesis, but as his friend, which is what Dante's trying to prove, all because he chose to save Isabel.
I would have won that race, you know?
That's what they all said.
He takes Isabel back home where they reveal that she's actually the sister of Elena, the mother of his child, and that just had me wondering, who else is family? Is he family? Is she family? Am I family?
We are Groot.
He delivers a good line about her not feeling bad, that she's different from her cop sister, because, you know, Dom too had a cop friend, and they went down the same road. And so they go through Elena's files, since her previous husband before Dom was killed by Reyes, and she has all this info they never looked at. And we learn that Dante had a history of going from ward to ward, that after the crash, he was dead for 2 minutes and saw nothing. So unlike Saint Dom who saved the Vatican, he is not a man of faith. He's even more off kilter since he cracked his head in the accident, and now he's pulling a weekend at Bernie's with his dead goons, painting their nails like it's a deleted scene from Guardians 3. So I guess they're both homaging franchises. But I think the coolest difference between the two of them is their cars, and how Dante's given the rival make to Dom's Dodge Charger, made by Ford.
Might be automatic on the column, I'm not sure. I mean, we'll check it out later.
Ames then tracks down Dom in Brazil, who's trapped in Dante's jigsaw lair, where he's streaming all the movies off Peacock, and he arrests Toretto with no cuffs? Like, even Soups had cuffs.
The days where one man behind the wheel of a car can make a difference are over. But not today.
He may not be restrained, but he does strap in as Dante attacks their plane, saving Ames in the downfall as they're back on the bridge set of Fast 5. Dom then decides that he's Luke Cage and just walks into gunfire, even flipping a GT and setting it on cruise control to become a weapon.
Oh, cool.
I was surprised to find out that a lot of the scenes just improv, like Momoa was just screwing around.
You know, it cracked my molar, and so I have this gap here, and I was like, this would be funny if you just beat the shit out of me. I'll like pull my tooth out and dick. Like, you don't like ballet? And he's like, what? My mother, the whole thing behind lavender is that my mother absolutely despises that color, and I adore that color. Poopy. And I literally am Googling Swan Lake on set, going like, oh, I gotta figure out how to do this. And we just made all that up. And so that gives me a lot of joy.
Dante shoots Tess, who always appears last minute, rubs on her wound like she did his car, and then just takes the God's Eye. Dom then thinks he's Captain America, rescues Captain Marvel, and then turns Ames into his Nick Fury, who takes him to Portugal to stop Dante, where he pulls a superhero landing with his car. Meanwhile, Mia's taking care of Dom's kid while Brian's taking care of theirs for the third movie straight. And look, I know, we all know, but man, family would be there. Dante's men come in, and since Lil B has seen all the Fast movies, he knows exactly what to do. But none of them see Cena coming as he busts in to give them an attitude adjustment.
What's up?
Uncle Jacob?
Your dad sent me.
Now, we had just met Jacob in the last one where we learned he was Dom's super secret lost brother, whom he was able to make peace with, but he's just so much better in this movie. After saving them, him and his nephew go on a road trip and play some tunes. They head to the airport where they run into Debbie Ryan for a quick hair flip, as Lil B goes from learning stick shift to becoming a pilot all before he's even 21.
You ready?
Ready.
I did like how they brought up his fear of planes, because, I don't remember anything past 4, but I would remember this scene. Paul Walker's daughter also makes a cameo here as a flight attendant, which, keeping with the themes, I thought was a really nice touch. Even helping them escape the plane for whatever reason, as they fly to the secret tunnels from Fast 4.
All right, everybody, remember the plan: contain and kidnap. Thank you.
Dante then uses the God's Eye to sift through more cam footage than new rock stars, and he's able to locate Jacob and Lil B, and that's where they reveal a new set of Hot Wheels. And it's off to the races. They're speeding down this furious road with bumps, bombs, bullets, as Dante rides up and legit pulls a drive-by kidnap. This is the moment where Dom crosses roads with them, as Jacob crosses roads with him, because in order to rescue Lil B, Jacob sacrifices himself by taking out these goons and dying in the flames just like his father did. Usually these movies end with his family at a barbecue. This one ends with his family as the barbecue.
People perish and return. You'd never expect people to show up, and they do. I think never say never on anything is a good rule for Fast.
It's true.
Dom then takes down these copters and flings it like a shot put, setting up Lil B to do the Letty jump. And honestly, at this point, what was I expecting? That they were gonna pull over at a rest stop?
Did you hit me with the helicopter back there? Ow.
It's written God's son walked on water. Well, it's filmed Dom's son flew through cars. The Torettos are reunited, but then get hit with the goofiest twist of them all, where it turns out Ames was just pretending to turn good, when really he's Dante's Harley? What a reach, Jack. Pretty much it's a reverse F1 where they're just evil Dom and evil Brian, since there's no room for two saints in this franchise, hence the double cross.
Dominic! Welcome to the big showdown.
Meanwhile, this entire time, Roman, Tej, Ramsey, and Han had to escape London after Rome through a perfume container. They realize they've lost all their money that they've made off the series and that Dante is using their funds to kill them, and Ramsey feels guilty since she kind of created the tech.
She's in the Fast and Furious franchise and does not drive a car. How do you explain that?
I'm fast and furious intellectually.
Oh my God.
Luckily, Roman pulls a Fast 2 and is strapped with his mobile spank spank. Han goes from eating snacks to becoming a snack on Tinder, and Ted just gets so bored that he just randomly fights Roman. They seek help from another hacker who just so happens to be played by Pete Davidson, he's in everything. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he's gonna be in Transformers, he was in Kim, but of course he then snitches on them by giving up their location. They visit Shaw, which was supposed to be connected to the after credits from 9, where Shaw was keeping bodies in a punching bag before getting a knock at the door, and let's just say everyone looks a little different. It's also important to note that the last one was directed by Justin Lin, who left this one, Justin being the dude who's directed and kind of wrote what the finale's supposed to be before dipping for reasons.
Is it fair to say that this will be the best one?
In my heart, yes.
You know that face you make when your parents pinch you? Shaw then transports the group to his armory, where he finds out that the kill list involves everyone who's receiving royalties from this series, so he preps for 11 and gives the London crew a plane to go unite with the main storyline. But the moment they fly in, Ames aims at them. Just like that, there's smoke king on the backlot.
You would think that I was not trying to do as many sequels as the Fast and Furious franchise when it came to this. We have our hookah there.
Dante's whole Joker plan is so crazy because it's specifically to get Dom and his child on this bridge where he's ghost whipping semis with AI in order to squish them, except
You made one mistake. You never took my car.
now I know Dante knew what was going to happen because he had all the movies playing in 4K at his lair. Dom legit just turns into Hot Wheels physics, track and all, as he flies off this damn bridge, surviving safely in the water since he taught Lil B how to drive and swim. But little did he know that the real plan was not to kill him with the two semis, but to explode him while he was in the water. Meanwhile, Letty got arrested after the Rome bit, and she's just been at this undisclosed location the entire time. That's where Tess comes in to visit her in order to put her in another scene with Cypher, where they finally get to fight, because you know that's exactly what Letty would do. Honestly, I think their fight is happening the entire time. They're going around the globe, but you know, it is one that's been a long time coming, and it was kind of cool to see Cypher's technical style versus Letty's street moves.
So to say that it's just action, I think is a disservice, because what we do is physical narrative.
After they duke it out and add to the runtime, they go above the facility only to realize that they're on the set of Fate of the Furious in Antarctica, and Giselle pulls up in a submarine. Now, you may wonder where this woman's been, and it turns out that F9 had a deleted scene that already hinted at what they were going to do.
Hey, how did Mr. Nobody get connected with Han? I mean, they never cross paths unless...
Giselle. She's former Mossad.
Personally, I just can't wait to see her fight Rita. In the end, we're left on a cliffhanger at the bottom of the cliff with 2 more parts on the horizon, but we're also given a Bible verse. Because if God said he can move mountains, then what's a rock?
At least until we kill that son of a bitch.
We're then given the goofiest after credits scene of the franchise where Hobbs returns to the series, and I absolutely love it. We had covered their whole beef in this LME right here, but it makes sense that he comes back since he's the one who pulled the trigger on Dante's father. So now you got these two on their Drake and Ye run, as Vince pretty much got a discount on the entire DC roster. He has set up his final road to his trilogy, and he has proved that paper does beat rock.
That's so disrespectful.
Thank you all for catching this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I know there's a lot of theories on like where they're gonna take this, but one of the ones that I've liked is the fact that he's actually eyeing Robert Downey Jr. for a villain role where he's the one pushing AI. Like he's the one setting up all this tech even for Dante, and you know, maybe it's a little too Ultron, but it would be interesting. You know, this movie already has 4 Oscar-winning actresses, and what's even crazier than that is that they're the ones who asked to be in it.
Yes, I was on my knees in front of Vin, not for that reason, for a completely different reason.
She came up to me and she said, hey, Vin, haven't you heard I want to be in Fast and Furious?
Oh my God, it's pretty good!
And I'm like, but really? We're about to film in a week. She said, I don't care, you're the producer, get it together.
But I do want to say to Helen, I was on my knees. I was on my knees because I'm so fucking ambitious.
So hey, you know, at this point we know that family forgives, so it's only a matter of time. You know, they'll eventually do skins versus curls, but I have noted that for the most part, if you say something nice about Vin, you'll probably be in it.
What would Vin Diesel do?
There's also some theories about like Brie Larson maybe being Brian's sister, because I guess, you know, Mr. Nobody was Ego. Ego's still probably globe-trotting his globes around, so I don't know, maybe that's the way that they try to continue it, because I don't see it with Clint Jr., but I've heard that they've already had everything planned. That's why I hope that Justin Lin comes back, because he was kind of the one who was, you know, putting all of that together. The new director who they have, who did The Transporter, and I thought he did a good job here. He's going to continue doing it. He said that they already have the final frame ready, so I'm curious where they go with this, because, you know, Vince had this line in here where he's like, you know, the problem nowadays is no one's listening anymore. And hey, Vin, I don't know if you pressed play, but you answered a lot of the things that I had a problem with F9. I know for a fact Universal's watching, but I'm curious to know how people saw this movie. I know Screen X has been a pretty interesting thing for, I don't know, you Toretto fans, if you wanted to see that, if you wanted to see a Groot cameo. But to me, it's still Dolby. If you're going to go see this in the theater, Dolby's the way to go. And I'm just curious to see how they're going to wrap it all. I know that there's still going to be spin-offs, but, you know, you're at that point at the franchise where it is really confusing to see people not like it. You know, people claim they like Gonzo movies, but only in retrospect, because at this point I was bored with the last ones, but like that's because they were boring. I wouldn't be critiquing these movies on physics or anything else. I just think it's a weird criticism at this point, especially if you're giving the past to other franchises when it comes to, you know, characters dying and coming back. It's stupid, but like we're here to have fun with it. And I like what John Cena said when talking about people coming up to him and saying WWE is fake, because he's like, yeah, the movies are fake too.
Oh, you're the one person who doesn't get it now. Okay, that's fair. Don't worry about it.
Other than that, let me know your thoughts and theories and rants on this franchise down below. And until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And Tyrese will send you some hookah.
The roaming hookah lounge.
What do you have to say for yourself, bro? This is not even mine. I was just holding this.